Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and we're now on to episode 11, and we finally have another new face with us tonight. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Redhammer from the Hammer Chat Forum, and we've got Mr. Regular feature Gonzo. Good evening, Gonzo.
Good evening.
And a new person you might recognise from social media because he's heavily involved with the West Ham Ladies team. Tommy, thank you very much for giving up your time.
Thanks for inviting me.
Don't be daft. I've been trying to get Tommy on for a few weeks now. It's just good to have him on finally. He's given up. He's let me twist his arm. Over the course of tonight, we're going to be looking at the Liverpool game. We're going to be looking at some transfer news, but we've got three competitions for you, which we will come on to later in the show. But Tommy, we'll touch with you first, because obviously you're new on. What's your thoughts on the season so far?
Look, the last two games haven't been the best, but I think going right back to the Europa League, I think anyone that didn't want to be involved with it is having a bit of a joke, really, because like you can't really turn down something like Europa League. Shame that we got knocked out so early, but look, it just made our pre-season more competitive at the very least. Arsenal away, unbelievable. I don't think anyone could have guessed how good that was going to be. Last two games, Leicester maybe didn't play the best, but I thought we played quite well. Not the best. Was close to getting a result out of it. Bournemouth game, I've still not really seen much of. I've seen the goals. For what I hear, it wasn't the best. But again, 4-3, we was close to getting a result. So I think there's a lot of negative thoughts already about the team and everything that's happening. That look, I can understand why some fans are getting annoyed, but I think if you look at teams like Sunderland and that, we're miles ahead of that lot, and I think you've got to be pleased with where we are at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for that. But I agree about the Europa League thing. I think Gonzo is kind of on the fence. He just tries to please everyone about Europa League. But Gonzo, we're facing Liverpool. Go to Anfield. What do you make? Well, what do you make of Liverpool season so far, Gonzo?
Well, they're struggling to score goals, aren't they? But on the Europa League, I went to two of the games, for goodness sake. I love the Europa League. I was sorry we went out.
Stop rewinding. Liverpool, and don't just give me that one answer. What do you make? Go in more depth. They've kept 3 clean sheets, for example. They won 1-0 away to Stoke. They then beat Bournemouth 1-0 at home, and then
Yeah. No, I watched them. I think I watched the Arsenal game at the start of the week. Actually, they look pretty good. I think they're going to struggle to adjust to life with Benteke there because he likes to play on the ground, doesn't he? Obviously, they've lost Sterling, which you'd think would be a big move. They spent big on Firmino or whatever his name is, but Coutinho looks to be improved this season, and they look to have shored something up defensively. I think probably Milner's a really good signing from on a free, but I think with Milner and Henderson in the middle, they lack a bit of invention for that standard of club. You know, I think Henderson and Milner in the middle for us would be fantastic, but for a club that's really pushing the champions, I think they're safe players. Actually, they're not really in keeping with Rodgers' style of football.
No, but then last season Rodgers' style of football didn't work. I think he's gone for a bit more graft in his team this season, and been happy to sacrifice a little bit of flair. I think it's going to work, and I think Benteke is going to turn out to be a bargain at 32 billion. He's got the Euro 2016 next summer, and Lukaku's on form as well. And between them two, they're both competing for the one striker spot for France for Belgium. Tommy, obviously you spoke about it last weekend. Going to Anfield is going to be difficult. I think it's 53 years since we've won there. What does Bullitt need to do differently, in your opinion? I know you didn't see the Bournemouth game, but how do you think he needs to shackle Liverpool or to get a result?
Well, I think Liverpool away, like we know, it's a hard game, whatever we do. But then again, we thought Arsenal away was going to be pretty much 3 points to Arsenal straight away. So I don't think he needs to get carried away with changes. Like I say, we've not really been totally out of any games this season. I know we've only won 1 and lost 2, but we're not really out of it. We just need to go and face Liverpool and maybe have a go at them and just see what happens. Really, like if you sit back and let them play, then they'll run all over you, especially players like Coutinho. But if you go at them, you found a way to Arsenal that these teams can make mistakes, and whether we've got the product to put the ball in the back of the net, I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, we'll touch on that very briefly at the end. Gonzo, same kind of question to you, but again, I mentioned on the last show, I'm going to big you up and listen up. We call the Bournemouth thing right. We've got it bang on. We say what Billich had to do. Unfortunately, he doesn't watch this show yet. He didn't listen, and we got beat. What do you think we need to do on Saturday to get something from Anfield?
I think we'll defend. I think we'll treat it with respect. But I think Liverpool narrow. I think that will suit us. We were talking about we were struggling with a bit of protection because we don't really play with wingers. We're getting doubled up on the fullbacks. I don't think that will really happen, to be honest with you. I think because they play quite narrow anyway, by the time they do try and double up on us, if they even try and double up on us, in the wide positions, I think Chiarte or whoever's playing on the left of that diamond will have pulled wide and provide cover. I think we may well have a tactical game plan to keep them very, very quiet, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Liverpool do play narrow, but at home they might play that winger Ibe, who will go toe-to-toe with our right back, whoever that is. And I'll be a bit worried if it's Tompkins, because I think he got sold a few times against Arsenal. I still think Wenger failed to capitalise on a weak spot there. In the second half especially, Tompkins was on the booking. Not many attacks came down our right, but credit to Bilic, he had Zarate back there defending quite a lot, covering Tompkins. I think it'll be a good game, and I wouldn't write us off just yet. As you pointed out, because Arsenal have only have only scored 2 goals, so they're not in great form. They played Bournemouth as well, who we've just stuck 3 past, so you can look at it like that. I've seen a comment on social media which summed it up, I think, and that said, yeah, we lost 4-3, but Sam Allardyce would have lost 1-0, which I thought was quite funny. I thought, fair play, there's always positives to take from it. We do have, though, as a competition at Anfield on Saturday. If Koyate scores at any time during the game, Hammer Chat will give away a West Ham top of your choice to a winner, and they can get a player's name and number on the back of it as well. To enter the competition, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've already subscribed, you're entered, and we will pick a winner on our next show if Koyate scores. And you'll get to pick the home, away, or if you want to be adventurous, go for the third kit, and you'll get the choice of which player and number you got on the back of your shirt. So you've got nothing to lose, guys. Just hit that subscribe button, and you're entered. Tommy, a tricky question. If we get something from Anfield, do you think as fans we should write off the last 2 defeats, put it down to a learning curve for Bilic, and just say, right, okay, it's over, it's dealt with, we've got 4 points or 6 points, hopefully. Let's go away on the international break and trust Bilic? Or do you think that if we lose, do you think it's maybe a wee bit, do you think fans will panic a bit more if we get beat?
I think it's far too early to be talking about Bilic or anyone being under pressure. He's a new manager to the Premier League. Obviously he's played, but he's not managed in the Premier League before. So that in itself, he might need to adapt to the style of it, maybe as a manager. Like I said, I think the Arsenal game, we were outstanding. Leicester game, I still thought we played all right. We just didn't have the end product. Bournemouth, from what I hear, we weren't the best, but look, we was on the verge of getting a point out of it. So I don't think that you can start putting pressure on a manager 4 games into a season, whatever happens really. Even if you lose the first 4, it's not the end of the world really, because it's a 38-game season. So look, it'd be nice to get something out of Liverpool, but I don't think any West Ham fans will be going up there expecting anything. Just like they didn't expect anything from Arsenal. But look, we played the game right away to Arsenal, and we got the benefits from it. So hopefully we can do it again on this weekend.
Yeah, quite agree. What do you think, Gonzo? Obviously, you're on the forum. You're a bit different to Tommy because you can see everyone's thoughts. And while you like to think you have your own idea, they do plant seeds in your head on the forum. When you read other people's comments, you do think, oh, he's got a point there, actually. What's your opinion on if we were to get beat at Anfield?
I don't think there'd be any problem with us getting beat at Anfield. Obviously, we don't want to, and I don't think we will. I think that the problem is we expected at home. If you were looking at the league table or the fixture list, you would say Leicester at home, Bournemouth at home. There'd be 2. You think, oh, we'll get points from those. I think it was more the opposition. So I think that was it. We lost to Bournemouth. No one expected to. I don't think anybody expects whatever you said. Was it 50 odd years or something? You said, Gio. No one expects anything up at Anfield. So I don't think any pressure comes from it. And anything that happens up there is a Brucey bonus, as they say, you know.
Yeah, I quite agree. I think it is bonus points. I think if you, I don't think they do it, but managers will sit down at the start of the season and pick up where they're going to get their points for the season. This one would have had a naught next to it, and same with Emirates. They've probably been written off. If we get anything, as I said, it's a bonus. Predictions then, Gonzo. You just said that you don't think we're going to get beat.
I don't think they're going to score. I don't know. You know, listen, West Ham's the two results. West Ham's the West Ham fans. You say about the forum, they're on a little bit of a downer at the moment. I've got to say, people don't know what's going on with this Sacco business. People are expected. You know, people don't know if Andy Carroll, Valencia's. I mean, yeah, we've had a statement from the club today, but it looks like he's had his bum smacked. To be honest with you, he looked like he came out with a naughty statement. He shouldn't have come out with a statement talking about the club's medicals. He don't do that sort of thing. We got a striker problem. If it turns out that Sacco can't play, Zarati's injured, we think, we might be left with Myga up front. Hold on. Looks like Myga was shaking hands with some oil sheik today in wherever he's gone off to. So it looks like we won't have a striker. So I can't comfortably think that we'll score a goal, but I do think we've got the ability to shut up shop against them. I think we get a sneaky draw up there.
Yeah, I am actually quite optimistic as well. I think we will score, but I'm not very confident about us keeping a clean sheet at the minute. Unfortunately, there's a bit too many individual errors for my liking. But to be fair, the back five played solid at Arsenal. Randolph played solid last week, so I don't know why we couldn't shut them out. What's your prediction, Tommy? We like you to put your neck on the line on this show. Come on then, give us your score prediction.
I'd like to think that we're going to get a win out of it, and I think I'm one of these West Ham fans that we could be playing Barcelona, and I'd still be hoping or expecting or whatever us to get a win. But look, it's going to be a tough game, whatever happens. Yes, there is a striker problem, but I'm sure the club are working hard on sorting something, like probably stick Czech Kuyati up there, because he seems to be quite good at scoring goals at the moment. So look, I'd like to think that we're going to get a result over it. Hopefully 3 points, but I'd happily settle for one right now if it was offered.
Yeah, I'm going to be quite funny here. I actually hope we don't have a striker for Saturday, because I would like to see what Bilic does. He's going to have a joker up his sleeve, and he's got to have it planned already, because he's got to be thinking, there is a chance I'm going to have no striker for Saturday. So he's got to have had this plan in place already, and it's got to be on the training field getting practice left, right and centre. And I actually want to see what he does, whether that's play a midfielder up there, whether it's play no midfielder, and like we did at Tottenham away when 1-3-0. It can be done with the right people. So I actually really want us not to have a striker. I would like us to sign a striker, maybe have him on the bench, but starting, I want to see what Bilic does. And I think this type of thing that would stump an opposition when the back four of Liverpool line up and they're looking around thinking, where's the striker gone? And everyone's back on in our half. This type of thing I would like to see, and then we could counter-attack with 4 bodies at a time or something. And when you do stuff like that, it's not easy to mark and it's not easy to pick up. And we've seen it time and time again just how efficient a counter-attack is in the Premier League. All you have to do is go look at when Everton played Southampton in 1-3-0, counter-attack after counter-attack, and it worked beautifully. But anyway, moving on, we do have a £20 free bet from Betway to give away. So all you have to do for that is join up with Betway through Hammer's Chat. You've already done it, you're already entered. This competition is going to last for a couple of weeks though, until the Newcastle game. So just join up. So if you're having a bet this weekend, just go on the Hammer's Chat. There's a couple of links are there. Join up and you've entered. It's simple as that. And someone is getting a £20 free bet. There probably won't be that many people that enter, so you've probably got a really good chance of winning it. But moving on now, Tommy, said at the start of the show, you're heavily involved with West Ham. Ladies, you've got a big game on Sunday. Do you want to tell us more about the team and also Sunday?
Yeah, it's our first home game season. Our game last weekend against Portsmouth in the league was postponed because something to do with Portsmouth's players and manager was away with the England beach volleyball team or some beach football team. Sorry, not volleyball. So yeah, that game got postponed. So this is our first home game of the season. We're playing Crystal Palace, who are in the league below us in the Women's Premier League Cup. It's like pretty much the first round So obviously it'd be nice to start with a win. Team's looking good. Team's looking happy. We obviously suffered quite a blow on the first game of the season, losing 5-0 away to Coventry. But speaking to manager Mark Nurse quite a bit, he knows that he's learnt a lot from that game. He's treating it as that was the last pre-season game, and hopefully this is where we kick on. So we're hoping for quite a nice big crowd. We've got a few West Ham themed surprises up our sleeves to entertain West Ham fans that come down. So look, it's £5 for an adult, £1 for a kid to get in. It's guaranteed going to be a good day. Hopefully 3 points, well not 3 points for West Ham, through to the next round anyway. So yeah, look, like anyone that's free on Sunday and fancies watching a bit of football, come down because you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, fantastic. We do have interviews with Stephen, the chairman, and Mark on our current site at hammerchat.com. We've also got Stacey going to be doing match reports for us, and we've got Ruby supplying photos. So we're going to be quite back in the ladies' team. We're going to follow them quite a lot. I'm going to be nipping Tommy's head quite a lot to come on and give us an update on the ladies' side. But like Tommy said, it's £5 to get in for an adult, and it's only £1 to bring your kid. You know, £6 for you to take your child along and spend a few hours with them watching. It's still West Ham at the end of the day, and it's still against another London side. Gonzo, I assume you'll be going.
I'm always going. Funny enough, I saw the Steve, the chairman. He said today. He said that ticket sales have gone very, very well. I think he might have said he's possibly expecting a record attendance at the next match.
Yeah, well, people like you, Gonzo, can make a difference. Unfortunately, I can't get down from Aberdeen, but I will be there at the end of September, and I will post proof that I attended. But seriously, get along, guys, and support them, because it's like Stephen emphasised on the forum ages ago, everybody through that gate makes a difference to the ladies' side. Touch on the transfer news now. Obviously, there's more reports coming out that Song has failed his medical and that he might not be joining until January. But again, there's no concrete news. There's not been a lot of concrete news about the transfer news at all. Gonzo, you were on holiday when we spoke about Joey Barton, and his name is creeping up a little bit. I think it's going to start to come in a little bit heavier as the week goes on. What's your thoughts on Joey?
Well, it'd be a good translator for Payet, wouldn't he? He's a French-speaking player, so I know he's bilingual, isn't he? I think everybody's getting very excited. Well, not excited, actually, quite the opposite. There's a lot of doom and gloom around transfers. Everyone's saying, oh no, it's going to be bartered and this, that, and the other. I think if we do sign him, it's going to be on something like a pay-as-you-play. He's going to be a bit part player, or he's going to be filling in until we do sign someone like Song. I think there's a big budget there, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. I've got faith in the owners. They're not going to leave us with a squad of 18 players. I think when that yellow banner scrolls across Sky Sports News on the final day of the transfer window shutting, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few players that have come through. And I'm not talking Wellington, Paulista, or people like this, or Nene. I do actually expect some players. We've spent some money. I think good players are still going to come through. I think we're clearing the decks, getting Maiga's wages off, Nolan's wages off, things like that. I'm not going to start criticising the owners until that window shuts. I've got to say, I think we've still got some players to come.
Yeah, Tommy, what about your opinion on Joey Barton? Would you like to see him at West Ham?
Well, I think he's always going to be one of those players until he retires that a lot of fans are going to be against just because of his history. But look, the video message he put out was very respectful, considering he'd taken a lot of stick on social media about it. Listened to the chairman and his sons talking about the deal on another show recently, and to be fair, it sounded like a decent deal. He sounds like a reformed character. He's not a bad player at the end of the day. He's got a decent touch. He can move the ball well and all that. And I don't think we're in a position where we seem to every season have a problem with injuries. So I think we need as many players as possible. He's always going to be one of those people that when you hear about it, it's going to be, oh, do we want him? Do we want him? Do we want a player like that around the club? But look, I'd say give him a chance and see what happens. The way the deal sounds from what people are saying is that it's going to be a really low basic wage and a high appearance fee. So it's not like this 5-year deal or something that we're signing up to that we're going to have to pay millions of pounds if he does do something wrong. Sounds like there might be a get-out clause. So, yeah, give him a chance. Why not?
Yeah, I was on the fence about this originally. On Saturday against Bournemouth, I thought Barton's the type of player we need on that pitch right now. When Creswell and Jenkinson were making errors, yes, you can put an arm around them, but sometimes they just need a right hoof. You need someone to go over and tell them to get their head together and sharpen up a bit. And I wonder if Creswell had got that kind of message after the first mistake, would he have made the second one? Would he still have been so laid back and, I'll just knock it back to my keeper on the edge of my 18-yarder? There is a chance if he had a ball again, he would have hoofed that ball up the middle of the park. I'm a big fan of no ball, as you know, Gonzo, but he's not a leader for me. He's a Mr. Motivator. I mean, if someone does a good block or something, he'll run over and, for some reason, pat their bum. But he'll run over and say, well done in that. But you do need someone that's going to also give the player that kind of thing. Nolan was on the pitch on Saturday, and he didn't do it for me, and that was telling, which we're going to come on to in a second. Zaza, apparently, his loan deal has fallen through, but there is still a little bit of talk that he still might come. We're being linked with Nottingham Forest winger Antonio. There's a couple of posters on the forum who's know quite a bit about him. They put up a decent description, so if you don't know about him, pop on, because I didn't really know about him myself. Another person we're going to quickly mention is Adebayor. We've been linked with him for the last 10 transfer windows, it seems. It seems that Levy does not want him to come here, but it sounds like Adebayor is holding out for a move here and actually turned down to go to Villa and link up with Sherwood, which was quite surprising. Gonzo, would you take Adebayor here? Just a quick answer, yes, no?
Yes. Whenever he's been on loan, he plays well. It's only when he gets a long contract that he turns crap.
Yeah. Tommy, what about you? Would you take him?
I'd say under the right contract and the right deal, I'll that sort of player, I wouldn't pay too much for him. But if you could get a decent deal, look, he's a decent goal scorer, so why not? I wouldn't like a big transfer fee or a hefty weekly wage, because I think there's much better that you can get out there for your money.
I will only accept him if we still need a striker at 4 o'clock on transfer deadline day. That's the only way I will say do it.
And Daniel Levy still has to pay 90% of the money. That'll make me happy.
Or just get him to gag his mouth on the Olympic Stadium. Put that in the deal. That should be a clause. You're no longer allowed to speak about this. Right, Gonzo, Robert Green. You spoke on the last show, the show before. You weren't overly keen on Randolph. You played well against Bournemouth. You gave him his credit. The Robert Green thing's kind of gone a bit hush. Do you still think we need another keeper, or you say, right, Randolph, this is your chance?
No, I think if you could get the opportunity to bring someone like Robert Green, you do it. No, you don't say, oh, well, Randolph did well by, he still scored. He's conceded 4 goals. It wasn't his fault. Individual errors by Jenkinson and Cresswell. We know that, but all right, that's fine. If he's a decent second choice, then great. But it'd be much better to have him as third choice and have Rob Green in there, because he would put real pressure on Adrian. I think we still try and get him if we can.
And Tommy, for you, James Collins, there's a lot of talk saying that the club are looking to move him on, and that he was trying to be dangled about in front of QPR, get Rob Green. Do you think we should keep James Collins, or do you think the time's right to move him on?
I was actually having this conversation with my friend the other day, and he came up to me and said, "Oh, did you see about they're trying to move Collins on?" And he was pretty much like delighted about it. I thought he was going to get the champagne out. And to be honest, I disagreed with him there, and I disagree with anyone else. I think, look, people say about he's not the quickest and all that, but he doesn't need to be. He's usually got Tompkins or Reed either side next to him when he does play. They can be the one that it has to chase the quick strike or whatever. All you want from James Collins is someone that's going to be good in the air and throw his body in front of every ball. And when he plays and he does that, he does the job perfectly. So if I was managing the club or whatever, I'd be trying to hold on to him, because I think we need someone like that as backup for Reed and Tompkins.
I completely agree. I really like James Collins. He's probably not on the biggest wage. We won't get a big fee for him at all. I don't think it's worth selling. I would certainly keep him I think he's also the type of player you want your young centre-backs to be looking at. He comes across as being the perfect professional and gives 100%. He doesn't complain if he doesn't play. Um, if you're ever watching a goal in football though, you think defender could have done better, Collins would have blocked it. If you watch Everton's goal they just conceded tonight on Wednesday, John Stones literally just jumped over the ball. I can tell you something, James Collins would never do that. Transfer request or not. But now we're going to speak about the skipper, Kevin Nolan. Obviously it's breaking tonight. It looks like the club have said cheerio, giving him a golden handshake, if he's gone. Probably end up at Bolton or something. But Gonzo, is this the right decision?
Well, from all concerned, absolutely. Kevin Nolan's game is built on scoring goals, and his first 2 seasons were exceptional. But he's stopped scoring goals. It's absolutely time to move him on. And you talk, people again, they talk about, he still provides leadership. But to be honest with you, he started the game against Bournemouth, and there was not a lot of leadership going on in that game. So I don't even think he's providing that. I think he's got to go. The worst thing about it is, if he'd have gone 2 years ago, there'd been a lot of goodwill for Nolan. People would have said he did really well, scored loads of goals, got us up, consolidated our position. Unfortunately, once the goals dried up, then people were saying, well, they were getting quite critical of him. But yeah, undoubtedly, 55 grand a week, we can spend that on someone else. Absolutely.
If we got rid of him 2 years ago, I think there would have been an outrage as to why we got rid of him. That's my opinion anyway. I don't think people would have accepted it and said, "Hey, hang on, he scored goals the last 2 seasons. He's our captain, the best captain we've had. Why are we getting rid of him?" So I think the club had to keep him. Tommy, do you think it's the right time to shift him on?
Yes, but purely because I believe that the Premier League's starting to become a young man's game. There's a lot of young, like 20-year-old little quick players that are starting to come into the Premier League every single transfer window. So for a player like Kev Nolan, when he was at Bolton, when he was at Newcastle, last 4 years or whatever that he's played for us, I don't think you can fault his effort. You can't fault his leadership. He's scored goals when we've needed him. I don't kind of get why fans are as critical of him as they are, because he might be a little bit slower than everyone else in the midfield and make some missed passes, but he's not the only one that does that sometimes. So I think he has been a little bit of a scapegoat recently, but having said that, I think the time's right, and I think the club might be starting to look for the younger players like everyone else in the Premier League seems to be.
And then we bring in 32-year-old Joey Barton.
Maybe.
But I'm a bit different. I would have liked to have just let him see out his contract. I think he's come here. I think he's paid his transfer fee. I think he's earned his wages the last 4 years. I think if he was, I know it's a lot of money, 55 grand a week, but I would have been happy for him to keep. I mean, especially if we go get Adebayor on 100 grand a week like he's on at Tottenham. I know what I'd rather have, and it's not the striker. But I've seen a lot of good messages on social media tonight from people who've probably been criticising him the last 2 years. They're saying, fair's fair, you've been a fantastic captain, you did your job, you took your step down, etc., and off you go. I think it was always going to be difficult for him with Sam Allardyce moving to. I think he was kind of put in an awkward position.
He's Sam's man, isn't he? That's the truth of the matter.
And he did his whole play me or let me go type thing. I think that was almost a plea to let him go. I think he knew he was going to play. But
sorry, just one final thing on that. What I will say about him is there's a lot of players that would have stuck around and just taken that money for a year and not done anything. So he's obviously a proud man. There's no way the club are playing him for the whole lot. They've not just paid up his contract. They would have paid up a percentage of his contract. And there's a lot of people who will just sit tight and take it. So, I mean, fair play to him for actually striking a deal, wanting to go and move his career and do something else. And that's a good thing.
I think that's a good point, actually, because we offered Maiga his contract, we paid up and he didn't take it, and we had to try and get this deal to go through. And then when it did go through, we refused to sign the papers. But it looks like it's going through now. It's over wherever he's going. But anyway, that's the show. When we leave you, we were going to leave you a wee 30-second clip with the third competition, which I don't need to explain. It's explained there anyway. But you can follow us on Twitter @hammers_chat. But Tommy, thank you very much for giving up your time. And I hope you have the best result on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
And Gonzo, thank you again.
Cheers, mate.
But anyway, thank you very much, guys. And hopefully, Kouyaté scores and someone is winning it themselves a West Ham top. Good night, and here's Emma.
Emma from Sporty Mamas here. I'm giving away a pair of free tickets to my next West Ham Legends evening on the 12th of September in Essex. Come and meet Frank McAvenny and Tony Cottee and hear some unheard stories from their playing days and their views on the Premiership situation at the moment. To enter the draw, please find my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. Like and share the Facebook page and I'll pop you in the draw.